Yeah, hello Vishal sir.
Hi.
I'm truly grateful that you have given this chance to talk a little bit about how you mentor the startup people like those who really want to start and how this journey started with you, with the starters.
So I am basically an engineer MBA. I did my engineering and MBA, and after that I was into sales and marketing and sales strategy for almost 25 years. I worked with good brands like Voltas. I worked with ICICI Prudential, Hero Honda Motors Limited, and then my last assignment was with Aditya Birla Capital as a senior vice president. And after having 25 years of corporate life, I always had this deep desire to do something in social impact sector. And that's where I got in touch with few of my friends, and I got to know that social entrepreneurs are doing a great job in terms of doing the startup business plus social impact, and that's what excited me. And I thought of using my skills, which I've kind of honed and experienced in my 25 years of corporate life. Why don't I share those expertises with the new startups and the new budding, I would say, the youngsters who are coming up from the colleges and getting into an entrepreneurial mindset. So that's been the journey of last 3 years, where I have generated and developed programs for accelerating the growth of startups, giving them support on mentorship, giving them support on market connects, giving them support on fundraising, and also connecting them with the right financial institutes like the VCs and angel investing networks to get them funded. So that's been the journey of 25 years plus 3 years of social impact journey through social impact.
So that's truly brilliant the way you are working with all the people who want to establish their business. But when we talk about starting up, most of the time we consider it's just the finances will stop them. But we know it pretty well that it's not just the finances, it's not just the experience, but there is much beyond that. So I would like to know the other factors which stop people from moving ahead when they are starting.
I think I am very happy to see even on Jagriti Yatra that the purpose and passion is pretty strong in people. What certain times it happens is that as one person you cannot do all the roles. So you need to kind of first build your skill sets in terms of understanding all angles of the business, which is business model in terms of product development, business model in terms of marketing, business model in terms of HR, because it's not only you, the entire team which is going to work. Business model in terms of managing the legal and compliances, business model also in terms of sales and distribution. So a person who is very passionate about developing a product and doing some business also needs to know all the aspects. And that's where as a one person it may not be a complete solution to do the business, and that's where getting good co-founders and partners is very, very important, who can come in and help you develop that business and bring in that skills which you don't have. Then the business becomes more stable and scalable. And once you have good co-founders and partners with you, the second thing is how you develop the team to kind of take on jobs with more delegation, because that's another I would say gray area I see with startups, where people and entrepreneurs want to do all things on their own, and that's where things go wrong and one person cannot do all the work, and that's where the fatigue and other things takes over, and then the passion and other things slightly go behind. So that's my small bit of advice to these people in terms of getting a good co-founder and developing a good team and then building skills across.
Yes, sir. So when you use the word good co-founder and when you use the word that collaboration with the right people, so what all things or what all measures should be taken in mind when people are going with a co-founder?
Good question, I would say. I think you studied the startup ecosystem quite well. So nice, thanks for that question. So it's a very important point, because if you see today, in fact, I was speaking to one of the legal advisors who's traveling over in Jagriti Yatra, and one of the biggest business he has as a lawyer today is the dispute settlement between co-founders. So choosing the right co-founder is very, very important, who is aligned to your views and passions, your mindset, and who can cover those skill sets which you don't have.
Right.
That deep alignment is very, very important, and then that documentation in terms of paperwork, in terms of legal terms, also needs to be done properly, because it should not be like we are friends and we know each other well. That should not be taken as casual, but you should legally and on document also it should be properly divided in terms of what's the share of the business, what's the revenue sharing going to be, what the responsibility sharing is going to be. If all those parameters are well sorted, then things will fall in place. If you leave it gray, then as I said, the lawyer is making the money and the founders are losing the money.
So that's really amazing answer that you have given, and everyone is seeking an answer to that. because when they want to start, they need someone who can be trustworthy, lawyer, or they can hand over everything to that person. Now, when coming back to your journey where you are training the startup people, so how do you seek them? Do they seek you, or they like you try to find the right people whom you are training?
Yeah, obviously. So we have a very clear set of requirements which we have, because in the startup ecosystem there are quite a lot of categories and stages the startup goes through. So we are very choosy because we want to add value where we have strength. So what we have seen is that we are not working, and we can't add much value at the incubator level where a startup is kind of toying up with the idea and wants help in terms of setting up a product. Where we add value is we help developing acceleration programs for these people, where we take people who have already done the product market fit, they have done 0 to 1, and now they need help in going from 1 to 10.
Okay.
So those are the people where we can add great value. Me and my co-founders who are working with me, where we have the expertise of helping them in terms of setting up systems and processes, and then how do you scale up to kind of make a sustainable business model of it. So we pick up selective sectors like climate, health, education, and agriculture. These are 3 or 4 priority areas for us, and we also focus only on those startups which are using technology for scaling. We are not looking at brick and mortar model kind of business. There we can't add much value.
Right. So that's again one of the most output that you are providing to the young generation, and many people definitely would be benefited for that. Now, just the last question to let us all know what question should be there in our mind when we are already passionate, we are working on what we want to, and when we have started with proper finances, proper founder, then what should be the next thing that should be there in the mind?
I think many of the speakers and role models have said it in the last few days on Jagriti Yatra. While your passion and purpose is there, don't be too product driven. I think you should be looking at what is the problem in the society, what is the possible problem the customers are facing, and how you are resolving it in a very unique way. And then on resolving that problem, are people ready to pay you a good value? If you are keeping this matrix in mind, then I think your competition also will not be able to compete you, because you are solving a unique problem. You will have a first mover advantage, and obviously if the customer is having that problem, he will be ready to pay a decent amount of cost and value to it, and that's how you can make a sustainable business out of it with good volumes over a period of time. So that's one area we should look at. And today also at Jaipur Rugs we saw that just because somebody is doing a rugs business, I should not jump into that.
Right.
I should look at my purpose and passion, and also look at the problem I can solve in that area. And obviously if there is an element of social cause, it definitely has a different aspect to the entire startups, and definitely investors also look at it from a very different perspective.
It leads me to another question driven by the poet by Rudyard Kipling, where he asks us to take down all the pieces and start afresh even if we have fallen down. So just imagine a situation where a founder who has given each and everything that he has to one industry. He has devoted whatever investment he had, his whole mind, soul, everything, and that business has flopped. Now what would you suggest to that man? How can he pick up all the pieces and start again?
See, if you see in today's entire startup ecosystem, there are hardly 5 to 10% who really scale up and do business. There are 90% people who go through this cycle where they've seen some kind of a failure. And those 5% also, or 10% who are successful, they've also seen failures. It doesn't mean that 10% moved ahead without
Smoothly.
any problem. So there will be failures, there will be situations where there will be a serious situation either on the product side or on the finance side or on the team side and system side, and the consumer may not be able to buy, or you will have a serious competition issue, or you will have some issue which is external to you, like for example COVID came in and a lot of people went down. But I have seen that when a problem comes which we are not prepared for, actually it comes with a different opportunity also. So you have to look at the situation very carefully, look at, can I pivot existing products and service towards the new opportunity which is coming out of it. Then to kind of get frustrated and take it very negatively, saying I've given everything in there. why this has happened. So it happens with everybody. All big and small companies have gone through it, and today also you've seen that even at Jaipur Rugs, they did mention that there was situations where they
Right.
were almost on the verge of closing down, and then they really end up looked at a new way of doing business, pivoted with new involvement of the women entrepreneurs in terms of designing local designs, and then their own distribution channel, which really helped them building 40 to 50% of revenues in addition to the regular revenue. So if you are able to put in new innovation thoughts and ideas, I'm sure you can overcome those problems very soon.
Thank you so much for sharing all the insights, and I hope this video is going to help many other people who are still struggling or finding a way out when they have started up their journey in entrepreneurship. Thank you so much.
Thank you.